With respect to Elon's gesture, there are two unarguable facts that both sides have to agree on. The first fact is that the only person who knows what Elon meant by the gesture is Elon. Almost everybody that I've seen comment on the gesture is either confident that he did mean it as a Nazi salute or that he didn't mean it as a Nazi salute. The fact is, you don't know what he meant. You may be right about what he meant, but you don't know that you're right. This should give some humility to both sides. If you're smart, you'll accept your ignorance on this matter. The second fact is that even if the gesture wasn't a Nazi salute, it was a damn good Nazi salute. I don't see anybody disputing that it looks like a Nazi salute. I didn't even know how to do a Nazi salute until I saw it. I knew the outstretched arm position, but I didn't know about the chest touch and throwing it out with purpose. I saw Elon do it. Then I looked up videos of Hitler doing it, and I was like, yep, that's how it's done. At least an 8 out of 10 on Elon's Sig Heil form. Got to give him props. That was pretty good. It wasn't like he was waving at the crowd and someone captured a picture with his arm in the position. It was the whole process, start to finish, with purpose and gusto, twice. So, to recap, the two facts are that we don't know what Elon meant, and to the average person, it looks a lot like a Nazi salute. If you're intelligent, you'll admit that we have uncertainty. In order to form a more likely than not opinion, we have to look at context. First, let's examine the context in favor of Elon. We on the left have a history of crying wolf on the topic of Nazism. Someone disagrees with our stance on affirmative action? Nazi. This is a mistake. Almost every time we on the left call someone a Nazi, we're wrong. There just aren't that many Nazis in the modern era. They do exist, but your odds of running into one in the United States are slim. They certainly don't make up anything near a majority of Trump voters. So, put yourself in the shoes of Trump supporters who get labeled something as bad as Nazi for expressing what are, to them, non-hateful political opinions. Imagine you're arguing what you think the optimal tax policy should be, and your opponents start calling you a Nazi. You're probably not going to react well to that. So when the left accuses anyone of being a Nazi, the right is already tired of it and ready to dismiss it due to the boy who cried wolf. The other context Elon defenders point to is the fact that he said, "My heart goes out to you," after doing two damn good Nazi salutes. You could do a Nazi salute as long as you say, "My heart goes out to you," afterwards. White folks, if you want to say the N-word, just make sure you follow it up with, "My heart goes out to you," and see how that goes. Maybe that's what Hitler was trying to say all along. Anyway, I'm joking. Trying to defend Elon here. The phrase, "my heart goes out to you," in combination with Elon's general social awkwardness, autism, and or Asperger's, has convinced many people on the right that it was just an awkward, "my heart goes out to you" gesture, despite being willing to admit that it was a damn good Nazi salute. So to recap the context in favor of Elon, the left has a history of crying wolf on the topic of Nazism, and the phrase, "my heart goes out to you," combined with Elon's social awkwardness, explains the gestures. Let's move on to context from the left, the strongest of which is the timing. The Nazi salute is called the Sieg Heil. Sieg Heil means hail victory in German. Conservatives focus on context after when he said, "my heart goes out to you." But there is also context before. The very first sentence Elon said in his speech was, "This is what victory feels like." So Elon is given a speech about victory on the greatest day of victory for white supremacists, and just so happens to do a white supremacist hail victory salute during that speech, twice, by mistake. Unlucky. To reiterate, average MAGA voters are not white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and they're not racist. Many of them aren't even white. However, white nationalists do exist, and they aren't supporters of Kamala Harris. In fact, of all the presidents in their lifetime, Bush, Obama, Biden, Clinton, etc., Donald Trump is probably their favorite by far. So again, on Inauguration Day, the greatest day of victory for white supremacists, Elon happens to make the mistake of throwing out two white supremacist hail victory salutes with great form. Very unfortunate. I mean, he made that mistake at the best possible moment to do so. He could have made that mistake the day before or the day after. He could have made that mistake while talking about something irrelevant to Nazism, like one of his companies or video games. He made that mistake in the perfect context of the day and in the perfect context of the speech. If it really was a mistake, we should feel bad for Elon because that's about the worst luck I've ever seen. The second piece of context from the left is how Elon responded after the incident. I'll paint a picture here with an analogy. Suppose I'm out with my wife and a waitress is clearly being flirty with me. Then she says, "I know you can't do anything in front of your wife, but if you want to see me, meet me in the women's restroom at 7:53 p.m. And what do you know? 7:53 p.m. comes around and I need to use the restroom. And while distracted by my phone, I make the mistake of entering the women's instead of the men's restroom. The perfect mistake at the perfect time. After a few minutes, I come out and people who saw the situation confront me about it. They say, hey, looks like you're cheating on your wife. And I respond like Elon, indignant. How dare you accuse me of doing exactly what it looks like I did at the best moment to do so? So you're telling me everyone who accidentally entered the wrong room before is cheating on their spouse? Look at all these other people who entered the wrong room before. Clearly, I was distracted by my phone and didn't see the sign on the door. Could I have randomly needed to use the restroom at 7:53? Sure. Is it feasible for someone to enter the wrong restroom? Sure. Both things together in this context? Highly unlikely. If they were innocent, a normal person in that situation would express understanding for how bad it looks and seek to reassure everyone that is not what they meant, that it was indeed an extremely unfortunate mistake that looks very bad but was actually innocent. For instance, saying something along the lines of, I know it looked bad, that's not what I meant. I have no interest in that waitress. I understand how it looks and why you're asking me about it, but it's not true. Instead, Elon attacked the people who confronted him about it as if they were acting in bad faith. So, in summary, after considering all the context, we have two options, one of which has to be true. The first is that Elon just so happened to make the mistake of throwing out two near optimal health victory salutes on their greatest victory day in decades, and for some reason has no remorse or understanding for how bad it looks. Option two is that he did the gesture as a white nationalist dog whistle with "my heart goes out to you" for plausible deniability. If you had asked me last month, I wouldn't have thought either situation is likely. I never thought Musk was a Nazi or Nazi adjacent. He's pro H-1B, and very few of those people are white. However, I also admit that the only way Elon is innocent is if he's the unluckiest person I've ever seen, having made the perfect mistake at the perfect time, twice. Before we wrap this up, I like to zoom out and think about bias and self-interest, leaving out the facts. This episode is called Both Sides, but there are really three sides. There is the left and old school Republicans like the Bush administration's Steve Schmidt, who want to believe Elon is a Nazi to make MAGA look bad. There's the MAGA base, which wants to believe Elon is not a Nazi to defend their own image and not feel guilty about the recent vote. And then there's the far right extreme of MAGA, white nationalist types who, like the left, also want to believe Elon is a Nazi, and they want the MAGA base to continue defending Elon. White supremacist Nick Fuentes posted on X, "My heart goes out to you. Say it back." If I've accomplished anything in this video, hopefully you're less confident now than you were when you started.